Hey, what's up everyone? Welcome back. My name is Leon F and this is my channel, DIY Beauty on Purpose. Many of you have asked me, where do I sell my items after I created them? And this is it. I have a booth here locally in a shop where many creators like myself bring their items to sell. And although most months I sell quite a bit, there are times where my items don't sell, and then I have to figure out what to do with them. In today's video, we are going to do just that. We are going to take items just like this one that have not sell in my booth and it just needed an update. This was an original piece that I did farmhouse style with a beautiful scripture. I then turned into a nautical theme, as you saw there, with some fabric, and it still was not selling. So we're going to see if third time is a charm. I am going to just paint the whole thing using Rust-Oleum chalk paint in the Serenity Blue. And we're going to paint, I'm going to give it 2 coats, but I'm going to purposely leave the edges a little bit of that white showing as well as the distress showing. Once the paint was dry, I did sand down the edges just a little bit to smooth down these brush strokes that the blue paint left. That way everything looks like it originally was meant to be like this. I love the way that white and distress look on the edges look. Really, really cute. I am going to take this seahorse from Dollar Tree. It's a blank wood piece that you can buy, and for $1.25 you can actually paint and do whatever you want. Today I am going to add some caulk from the Dollar Tree, and basically we're just going to spread it sideways motion. You can do whatever you want if you want to recreate this at home, but the way I wanted to do it was to give it a more sideways motion. So I kept adding caulk until I had it fully covered. Once everything was covered but not dry yet, I took a tool. This is just a Cricut tool, the back of it, and I'm going to do sideways wiggly lines. This is going to give me the seahorse, kind of those sideways lines that it has. Maybe I'm imagining that that's what they have, but in my mind it worked well. Anyways, when everything was dry, I am going to give it just 1 coat, but it's a pretty heavy coat of Rust-Oleum chalk paint in the linen white. And you're going to start seeing all that texture pop through because the caulk does dry a little bit clear. So painting it really made all that texture and all those details really pop. Before we move on to attaching the seahorse, I did create this on my Cricut. It's a stencil that was already designed on Design Space. I just cut it as a stencil, and it says "Seize the Day." And because we're going with more of a beachy look for this sign, I thought it was perfect. The vinyl that I am using is a stencil vinyl that I get on Amazon, and it is on my Amazon store, which is there along with many of my favorite items from Amazon. It is always linked in my description box, so check it out if you liked. It is down below. All right, so we are going to use different paints. We're going to use this yellow one by Rust-Oleum Milk Paint. We used a blue one. It's a Coastal Blue by Rust-Oleum Chalk Paint. And then we're also going to use white again in Linen White by Rust-Oleum Chalk Paint. And I'm just using a makeup sponge to apply the stencil. Then we're going to remove everything. I like to remove the stencil when it's still dry. That's just my preference, but you can always let it dry if you prefer. I love the colors. I love that I use multiple tones instead of just using one color. And I think it took this sign to a whole new level. Next, we're just going to attach the seahorse with some hot glue. And that's it. This one is definitely one of my favorites from today. I love the way it turned out. I actually had all intentions on selling it on my booth, but I think I'm going to keep it for this summer. I just love the way it turned out. If you enjoy DIY home decor, this is the channel for you. I post every single week, so make sure that you are subscribed and that you hit that notification bell so you do not miss any of the content. For the next DIY, I'm going to take this planked home sign. I DIY'd it quite a bit ago, about 2 years ago. And although it was not in my booth, I actually kept it in my home. I am going to try to sell it in my booth. So I am going to cover up the words, the stencil words, with just some chalk paint in the linen white. And I'm just going to paint that little section there and let it dry. Then I'm going to take one of these little garden fences from the Dollar Tree. I'm sure you've seen them. And I'm going to mark where I need to cut. That way it's going to fit perfectly on the bottom of the planked sign. And I'm just using wire cutters to cut the fence, and it works like magic. It really does. So basically, once I had both sides cut, I made sure that the fence looked pretty even on both sides. We're going to use a combination of hot glue and Fix All permanent glue from the Dollar Tree. This is going to give me a permanent hold, but then the hot glue is going to give me a quick hold so that I can move on with this DIY. Once I had the hot glue, it was quickly needing to be put it on the planked board because the hot glue does dry pretty quickly. So I held it down for a little bit, and then I added hot glue here and there where it needed it until everything was nice and secure. Now we're going to take some greenery. These are both from Walmart. I love, actually no, this one here is from Dollar Tree. The other one with the flowers are from Walmart. I did drill a couple of holes on each side of the fence there so that way we can thread some jute string and be able to tie it in the back. I thought this was the best way to attach these florals without having to add a whole bunch of hot glue. So with these little flowers, I absolutely love. They're from Walmart. It's a pretty nice big pick, and it was only $3.47. I don't think that's a bad deal at all, and you get all of these flowers. They're really good quality. I did cut each stem separately because I thought it would be so much better to be able to arrange the florals in the way that is pleasing and just the way it falls really nicely in combination with the other pick. Once I had the flowers where I wanted them, I flipped it over and I tightened the jute string very tightly, and so that way we can make sure that the florals are nice and secure and not going anywhere. This little butterfly is from the garden center at the Dollar Tree. It was beautiful. I'm not going to do anything with it except for maybe cut some of that wire stem, and that way we can thread it right through in between the board and the fence. And it didn't need any hot glue or anything. It was perfect. To finish it off, I'm just going to add one of these leftover sunflowers. I'm going to hot glue it to the center of the stems, and I think this one turned out stunning. It has such a garden feel to it. I cannot wait to sell it. For the next DIY, we're going to take this board that had a decal that said "Get Naked." I did this for a bathroom and it never sold. I guess it was maybe a little too risque for some people. So I'm just going to lightly dry brush some paint over it just because you could kind of still see the words, but only a little bit of paint was sufficient. As you can see, we did not touch any of the distress look. And we also left the knob where it was. I'm going to move the sawtooth hook to the top of the side and add one more because now this sign is actually going to be horizontal instead of vertical. Using my Cricut, I cut out this stencil that says walk, but there's a second part. Just stick with me here. And I'm just going to place it, and we're going to start stenciling it with a chalk paintbrush and the Serenity Blue chalk paint by Rust-Oleum, which I'm so loving. I just love this blue. It's such a beautiful color. Once it is stenciled, I am going to remove the stencil, and then I'm going to hurry it up by doing some heat gun action here, and then we're going to place the other stencil. This one says "Let's go for a," so it'll say "Let's go for a walk," and I'm going to place it right over the walk, and we are going to stencil it this time using Waverly chalk paint and the ink. It's a very dark black color. I am using, again, a makeup sponge to stencil it, and then that's it. We're just going to remove the stencil and reveal it. Now, I did seal this one using Varathane polyurethane in the crystal clear because that way it is going to be nice and sealed just in case it gets some water on it. It's meant to go indoors, but just in case, and I think it turned out so beautiful. I love it. It has a completely different use for it. I love that it's now for pets, and I can't wait to sell it. If you are enjoying this video so far, make sure you take a second and give me a thumbs up. A thumbs up really helps my channel grow, and it helps this video reach more people. For the next DIY, I'm going to take this wall planter that I thrifted about a year and a half ago. And all I did when I got it was I dry brushed some of that Serenity Blue chalk paint on it to the front. That's all I did. But it didn't sell. So this time we're going to switch it all up and we are just going to paint with blue. This is the Coastal Blue by Rust-Oleum Chalk Paint, and we're going to give it a full coverage. One coat was sufficient, but it's a pretty heavy coat. I wanted to make sure that it was completely covered. Now remember, these are items that I either had at home or at my booth that never sold. Now, this is to give you some inspiration so that if you have decor at home that needs updated or it just does not fit your style currently, a little bit of paint and some creativity can give you a whole new look. And I hope this inspires you. All right, so we're going to take some Rust-Oleum chalk paint in the linen white. We're just going to brighten up a little bit of that board. It was a little dingy and old. I like that look, but maybe some people just don't like it. So we are going to just dry brush it. It's not a full coverage, just to brighten it up a little bit. Using my Cricut once again, I cut out a stencil. This is a nautical compact stencil, and I am going to place it towards the bottom right of the front portion of it, and we are going to stencil it using a makeup sponge, and once again, Rust-Oleum chalk paint in the linen white. All it took was one coat, nothing more than that, and then remove the stencil. I was a little concerned that the stencil was going to remove some of the blue paint, but it actually didn't. It stayed pretty good. I cut out another stencil that says Lake Erie because we live in Ohio and Lake Erie is not far from here. So I am going to stencil it right in the center where we had that blank space. For the inside, we are just going to add some florals from Dollar Tree. They hang very nicely, which goes very good with this design. I have to say, I'm excited about this one. I hope it really sells now. It is beautiful. For the next DIY, we are going to take this window frame. I actually thrifted this last Christmas and it had this little shelf. It was $12 and I thought I can totally make this into a custom piece. I removed the board from it and I took it out to my garage, spray painted it white, except that when I was spray painting it, it was actually turning beige when it was hitting the iron. So I let that dry, brought it inside and gave it a couple of coats of Rust-Oleum chalk paint in the linen white using a brush. Then I went onto my garage and I cut out few pieces of wood that matched the size of the original board shelf that the piece had, and we created a box using some wood glue and brad nails. Then once the box was created, we're just going to place that original piece that it came with on the bottom. We're going to again use some wood glue and brad nails to attach it. And then we're just going to place it on the bottom of the piece. We did stain it using the Varathane. I think this is the golden oak tone. And then I just screwed it back in with the same screws that it came with. I added at the time some Christmas decor, but it didn't sell. So today we are going to give it more of a summer look. I'm going to hot glue some floral foam from the Dollar Tree and then add some of this reindeer moss, the stinky kind. I don't like this one, but it's what I had on hand. I'm going to start adding some greenery, just some random greenery that I already had on hand from Walmart and some from Dollar Tree. We're just going to start placing it, making it look very natural, very summery, and we're just going to fill the entire box. This is going to look like a flower box on a window. I think it turned out super cute. Now, on the window portion of it, I wanted to add a wreath. Now, I created a wreath recently with a thrifted wreath form, and it was very organic, very summer-like, and it was kind of simple too, so I really liked it. And we're just going to tie it to the window form using some jute string and tighten it very well. And then I decided something was just missing on that wreath, so I just added one faux flower. This is a magnolia flower from Walmart actually, and hot glued it to the center of the design on the wreath, and it is stunning. I hope this sells now on my booth because I think it's just so beautiful. For the next DIY, we're going to take this mail sorter. It was actually wooden tone. I painted it several months ago. I think it was about a year ago. And then I added this design on the front with a stencil, and it just didn't sell. It was kind of staged as a planter more than a mail sorter. So we're going to go back to it, to what it originally was designed for. And we're just going to paint the front, covering the design of the stencil. I did 2 coats of Rust-Oleum chalk paint in the linen white, and then I sealed it with a top clear coat. Then using my Cricut, I cut out the phrase mail, then the one that says incoming, one that says outgoing, and then one that says pending. I'm hoping this will make this mail sorter sell. I don't know, does people use mail sorters nowadays anyways? Let me know in the comments. Do you still have one at home? I know we don't here at home, so maybe it'll sell, maybe not, but I think it's worth a try. You're gonna have to let me know which one is your favorite. My favorite is this one, and then also maybe the walk one, this one. I just love them all, but you're gonna have to let me know which one is your favorite. If you are visiting for the first time, welcome. I hope you enjoyed the video, and I hope it inspires you to create your own home decor, maybe updating ones that you already have at home. And I hope you consider joining our YouTube family. If you are returning, welcome back. I am going to have a playlist here and another video for you. Click on one of these, tons more of inspiration for you. Check it out. I'll see you later and have a blessed day. Bye.